Meditation and spiritual life. States of superconscious realization. The joy that comes to us through sense pleasures bring in its train no end of misery. At first it may be like nectar, but later on it leads to frustration and disappointment. Intellectual pleasures are no doubt higher than this, but they do not give us the ultimate satisfaction of fulfillment. When we are in meditation or when we sing the glory of the Lord, we feel an inner joy. This happiness is very good, but it may not last long. But the joy that comes to the seeker in the transcendental state of consciousness abides with him forever. It is the real happiness of which the other forms of happiness are but shadows. Even if that higher spiritual experience is not complete, even if one has only reached the threshold of superconsciousness, the memory of the joy once realized lingers and forces the aspirant to struggle to reach the higher state and enjoy everlasting bliss. All religions have their origin in superconscious realization. The experience of the superconscious made Jesus, a carpenter's son, the Christ, adored by millions of people. It made Muhammad, the poor camel driver, the prophet of Islam. It made Nimai Pandit, a great scholar fond of intellectual gymnastics, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, the messenger of divine love. Coming to modern times, we find Gadadhar Chattopadhyay, a poor temple priest in Kolkata, transformed by superconscious realization into Sri Ramakrishna, the prophet of harmony of all religions. Of course, these were not ordinary men. Many of us have heard of God but do not really know what that means. Through spiritual practice, some may get a glimpse of divinity, and there are others who are not satisfied with these fleeting glimpses. They dive deep into themselves and discover God as the soul of all souls. Just as the soul exists in the body, so God exists in all souls, unattached but controlling all. God is both immanent and transcendent. The devotee assumes various relationships with the divine and enjoys supreme bliss of communion with him. When we say that the devotee looks upon God as the master, the friend, the mother, or the beloved, it should not be understood in a gross sense. Religion is, as Swami Vivekananda says, the eternal relationship between the eternal soul and the eternal God. This idea is conveyed in terms of human relationships, but there are others who transcend even this state. They discover the unity of all existence in Brahman. The soul is lost in the Supreme Spirit and there remains the one without a second. Sri Ramakrishna illustrates this through a beautiful parable. Once a salt doll went to measure the depth of the ocean. In the process of measuring, it itself got dissolved and became one with the ocean out of which it had originally come. One who attains to superconscious experience is called a rishi or seer. Everybody is a seer of a sort. One who perceives the sense objects is a seer. One who perceives distant stars or planets is a seer. One who can know the thoughts of others is a seer. One who discovers the laws of thought and workings of the human mind is also a seer. But as distinct from these, the word rishi is used in the case of one who has intuitively experienced the transcendental truth. This power of intuition, called Divya Chakshu or divine eye, is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, and this is latent in all men. Next, ignorance and its conquest. What prevents us from developing the divine eye? Vedantic teachers say it is ignorance. Patanjali also speaks about ignorance as that which clouds the vision of the Purusha, the self. In the Yoga Sutras, we read, ignorance is taking the non-eternal, the impure, the painful, the non-self for the eternal, the pure, the happy, and the Atman or the self, respectively. Under the intoxication of ignorance, truth becomes much worse than fiction. There is a story of a drunkard who was seen frantically climbing a lamppost, shouting all the while. The police naturally caught him and dragged him to the magistrate, who asked him, "What is the matter with you?" The man replied, "What could I do, sir? I was pursued by 3 crocodiles. I had to save myself by climbing the lamppost." Crocodiles on the road of a city, and yet that was what he saw under the influence of drink. Under the influence of ignorance, we too see many things which do not have ultimate reality. How to overcome this ignorance and attain superconscious realization is the next question. Ignorance is not known as such. It manifests itself in various ways. First of all comes egotism. This eclipses the real self or Atman. Then comes desire or attachment. When these are checked or thwarted, they give rise to anger and fear. Man is bound to the world by ignorance, egotism, and the instincts. Modern psychologists speak of complexes. According to one classification, there are 3 types of complexes: the sex complex, the ego complex, and the herd complex. Spiritual life does not even begin unless one learns to go beyond the hold of these 3 complexes. This is the meaning of spiritual struggle. It is not possible to overcome the hold of instincts in a day. We are our own obstacles. External obstacles are nothing compared to those we create within. Our whole personality must be overhauled. How to do this? Here, the mystics of the world religions have discovered for us several paths. Next, we will be reading about the paths of mystics, and the 4 paths: karma, jnana, bhakti, and raja yoga.